Now, it's not a surprise to know that with the popularity of IP, every year, especially for like the last 20, movies and the movie box office charts have been dominated by sequels because it's recognizable IP. People had seen the first one. Getting people aware of your movie and aware of your project is half the battle. And you're coming out with a sequel, half the work is done already. So normally the charts are completely filled. Actually, I think it was like in 2011, 9 of the top 10 box office films that year were sequels. In 2012, 8 of the top 10 box office movies were sequels. But this year, for the first time in over 20 years, the top 3 movies at the box office, none of them are sequels. Obviously, those are Barbie, that has $1.38 billion at the box office. Super Mario Brothers is $1.35 billion at the box office. And oh, take a look at this. Oppenheimer is now in there at 853, surpassing Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Which obviously was a sequel, which means the top 3. And honestly, especially now with Dune moving out, I think we're looking at the top 3 box offices of the year. I mean, yeah, we got the Marvels coming out. I think the Marvels will do well. I do not think it's going to make over $800 million. So I think you're kind of looking at it here. Now, the question that everybody's going to want to ask is this a sign of what moviegoing is now from now on? Does this mean that the audience has given up on sequels? Well, I'd say hold the phone a little bit. While the 3 movies that are out are in the top spots at the box office, well, none of them are sequels. 2 of them are insanely recognizable IP. They're not sequels, but it's not like they're Oppenheimer. It's not like it's Peanut Butter Falcon. It's not like, yeah. So while I still think it's amazing and fantastic that we've got this year, hasn't happened in a couple of decades, no sequels in the top 3, amazing. Guys, we want to thank a sponsor of this video, HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, you get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. Kickstart a fresh fall routine with HelloFresh. HelloFresh handles all the meal planning and shopping to deliver everything you need to cook up a tasty meal right at home. They do the hard part and you get to take the credit. HelloFresh takes the stress out of mealtime by delivering fresh ingredients and easy recipes right to your door. So this fall, skip that extra trip to the grocery store and have dinner ready in no time with America's #1 meal kit. Like we've mentioned before, Ann and I are both working professionals, and mealtime is sometimes a bit stressful. That's why we absolutely love HelloFresh. It's nutritious, it's delicious, and we actually have a really good time making dinner together. So guys, go to hellofresh.com/50Campea and use the code 50Campea for 50% off plus 15% off the next 2 months. That's hellofresh.com/50Campea and use the code 50Campea. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. I do not, Rob, honestly believe this points to a larger trend that we have coming. And by the way, I was first made aware of this by the good folks over at Slash Film. They seem to be of the opinion that this could be a sign of things to come. I don't know that it is per se, but perhaps because in the same year that we've had a couple of these big monstrous hits, we've also had a couple of sequels not do at least what they were hoping. Mission Impossible still made over $500 million, over $500 million, but just not where they thought it was going to be. Indiana Jones was definitely took a big hit, all that kind of stuff. Rob, what do you think about this in a historical context of, again, it's been a couple of decades since we've had these numbers. And do you think this could be the sign of a new trend of moviegoing?
Well, I don't necessarily think it's franchise fatigue. It's good movies. And the fact is, when you went to see, let's face it, John, a Super Mario movie, that could go either way. We had a Super Mario movie 30 years ago that didn't go the right way.
Went a certain way.
It didn't go our way. And I think what you need is a combination, a deft combination of filmmaker and IP together. And look, John Wick, we saw John Wick Chapter 4. That franchise still has a lot of bang for its buck, literally, because the people that are making it understand that franchise. You've had the same core team doing it. But I think that it really just shows that any movie that And the fact that Barbie and Mario Brothers did what they did as well as they did is why those movies succeeded. And I think the same is true. Look, Oppenheimer Christopher Nolan is his own genre of movie. I mean, people go, I got to go see the new Christopher Nolan movie. And I can understand why. Because he delivers, even when he does something like Tenet, that was not everyone's cup of tea, you can't deny the craft on display. That movie is beautiful to look at. It might be a little impenetrable in terms of plot, but while you're sitting there, even though I don't, I know what happened after seeing it 8 times, but when you watch it, a Christopher Nolan movie delivers, you feel a little bit smarter, even if you don't understand what's going on. I don't really understand quantum singularities or what's happening here. What's time dilation?
It's basically that effect of when you watch movies with subtitles, you start to think like, oh, I understand this language. Right. No, you're reading the subtitles.
Right. No, and I think I think it always comes down to great movies will deliver. Now, someone would say, well, then, Rob, Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning Part 1 was fine, too. I would say that movie, which is beautifully made, and that end sequence, talk about leaving you breathless, that last hour on that train is amazing filmmaking. It was
a crazy, crazy set piece.
But I think that ultimately it might not overall have delivered something that was different enough, maybe. It's the 7th movie in a franchise, whereas I went back and rewatched all the Mission Impossible movies. They're all beautifully made. Even if you don't like John Woo's Part 2, which is a wacky, weird romance, actually. I understand why but a franchise also needs to sort of reinvent itself. But then again, John Wick's doing a pretty good job staying the course. But I do think that it really comes down to a great IP and great filmmakers that are doing something unique and give us a good movie. So I don't think it means anything on the larger scheme of things, but Super Mario Brothers was really well done, and so was Barbie.
Yeah, and Oppenheimer's Oppenheimer.
And, yeah.
All right, guys, what do you think about that? Do you think we're looking at a brand new trend that maybe audiences moving away from franchises? Hard to make that argument when you have 2 of those top 3, well, really the top 2 that are world-known properties. So I don't know. We'll have to see how that all turns out. Hey, guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.